Just testing, just testing. This is my little food area here. What I've been doing is actually cooking, believe it or not. And eating raw food. Raw food? Not raw food. How does this go together? Well, today I decided to get this stuff here, which is it's called pudding rice, but it's a short grain. Yeah, short grain rice, which to me felt better for me to try than basmati and all that stuff, you know. Yeah, it feels alright, and I've not felt too bad. But what wasn't good was we tried some sweet potato. There's my little sweet potato, and literally I just took a tiny bit off it and I tried it out, and I was like, cooked food again, you know, obviously, and it's more heavy. It's feeding the other energies. I can't really describe it any better than that, you know. I don't know how to put that into words more than that, except I could sense it was feeding the energies and they want the sweetness or the sugar in it, you know. So that's my experience. Someone else might find that fine for them, you know. I still feel ideally like, you know, raw food is definitely, it helps you stay clearer, you know. It's a clearer thing. Focus, you know, remaining sharp and focused. That rice wasn't too bad actually. Basmati seems to have a more of a, you know, a weight on my system, more of a overload on the stomach and that. But that was quite good actually. But as I said, you know, like, I'm trying to stay raw, but I don't want to force anything, and I'm experimenting, you know. And I really encourage people to experiment and try find out what's best for them, what works and what doesn't, because you'll only know by doing that. But the main key is to realise when you're getting hooked on something, and you're getting, you know, you're and you won't realise it when it's happening as well, you know. It's so easy to get pulled into the loop, and people do comfort eat, and entities do try and use us as I don't know what they do with the food, you know. I don't know what they do with what we feed them, you know. But there's definitely pulls for sugars and carbs, as you can see if you look in society. Just look how much pull there is for sugars and carbs. It's unbelievable, you know. We're just insane over it. And dairy, you know, and meat. It's like, it's become, you know, it's mad. Actually, to be honest, I was going to say then it's become out of control, but I didn't want, you know, people to think I'm nuts by saying we're out of control. But if you look at it, we are out of control. You know, we're out of control of what we're doing on the planet. It's insane, and it's got to change. So anyway, today's experience, mostly raw, but having a little bit of rice, and finding that actually, you know, could be worse. It's pretty good, you know, for cooked food. That rice felt quite good. So there you go. I don't know if that helps at all. Just see what's going on in here. Hi, Kay. Okay, I was hoping she'd be available to do some recording, you know. I would try and keep this one short actually, because I'm aware the videos are quite long, you know, so I don't want to just like talk for ages and just say the same old stuff really. Awareness feels a little bit lower from having the rice. However, the positive benefits of it are more strength in the body, you know, and obviously you need a certain level of carbs in order to do. I don't want to use the word need, because need is a bit, I don't know, the word need just doesn't feel right. It's more the word what is appropriate for any moment. What is appropriate for when it's time to go to bed? What is appropriate for when you need to go for a run? What is appropriate for when you need to rest, you know? It's like when I need to rest, raw food and eating hardly anything, actually fasting can be quite good, because it really, really helps you rest. And this morning I felt like that, you know, because I guess I'm not just doing raw food, I'm kind of semi-fasting at times at the moment with these videos. This is what I'm going to be doing, you know. The little bits of rice are good because they help you, well, it gives you the, I'm not just saying rice actually, sorry, I'm saying carbs or anything, you know, anything like carbs gives you that sort of strength in your system, the strength to be able to go for a run or whatever. Then on the other level, have too much of them and you feel like, oh, you know, I've got no energy to do anything. I don't quite feel like that yet, but I might do after this lot here. So yes, the experimentation continues. We've seen a few more things today, but I can't really remember what we were aware of, so I'm waiting for Katie to finish this phone call so I can get her in on it if she's feeling like that. Be nice to do some recordings with both of us. Yeah, I'll leave it there for a minute. Hey.
Hello, again. I was just looking at the microphone instead of the camera then, sorry. You're not.
I know, I keep doing that as well. So yeah, we were calling this videos like experiments in raw, you know. So we're not saying that we're going to do this mad kind of like hardcore raw thing where we're going.
No, we've done that before. But yeah,
we've
got another wave of going raw again. We tend to find when we're back in the UK that the patterns here affect us quite deeply, and it's a lot easier for us to fall into normal here, you know, especially with the UK being so bloody cold.
And that brings up on the whole other subject, doesn't it, about like energy in different places you go and how, you know, the scripts are there and how they affect us in different places that we go. That's why your behaviour changes so differently based on where we're at.
When we're out travelling, when we're sleeping out in nature and in a warmer country, it's a lot easier for us to stay raw. Really, we've found it a lot easier when we're out, haven't we?
Yeah, so what that's saying is like when we're around a lot of other people who are also eating, and when you're around, say, like all the coffee and the wheat and the usual shops, you know, the usual shops that everyone goes to, you feel the pull. It's like an energy, isn't it? You know, you feel the pull.
It's a lot harder to do what we try and do here.
But it's almost just like as if humans learn. It's almost as if we learn from each other and the behaviours. If you're not able to be yourself and centred, you take on the behaviours. You know, you act like the other person. Someone else is swearing more, you start swearing more. You know,
it's almost as if we're affected by other people's version of reality and other people's version of normal. You know, so actually managing to really hold on to your core and your centre and your truths is quite difficult if you're in an environment where your values are vastly different than most people's, you know. For most of the stuff we say about food, a lot of the people around here would just think we're absolutely crazy because, you know, they don't think twice about having their cakes or having their teas and their coffees and their cigarettes and their beef pies and all of these things. You know, it's very, very normal for them. So our understanding and stuff is a bit difficult here. You have to excuse me. I'm kind of I'm in me kind of PJs and stuff, so I'm
and I've still got this coat on.
I'm hiding under the blankets.
So yeah, so we'll say what we ate today. You know, I mean, I've already said before, and how we felt, because that's important to share that. But I feel quite good actually. It's nice when I feel good because I want to feel good. I've just remembered I've got to unboil that thing. You just sorry.
We decided to try a bit of cooked food today because I think both of us this morning were feeling a little bit weaker, me particularly, and I felt quite cold as well, but it didn't feel like just sort of surface skin cold, it felt quite deep core cold. But I know that I've got issues with anemia, you know, my iron levels are very low as well, which I think affects body temperature. But I decided I wanted to have a bit of cooked food today, and Riki had felt like he needed to try some rice. So I had a bit of that when he cooked it, just a couple of spoonfuls of the rice, and that felt quite heavy for me. Like, carbs aren't the best on my system. Riki's system kind of handles carbs a lot better than mine. I tend to be better with proteins. But that was the rice. We also had got a sweet potato that Riki had steamed, and that was the one that I found most difficult, because I couldn't get over actually how sweet sweet potatoes are when they're cooked, you know, and they really are.
Yeah, that's full on that, isn't it?
You know, it's
Nice.
we'd been cutting the sugars out for a while, so we really noticed how sweet it was. But like, I found again, you know, like, I know that I've got active attachments, parasitic entities, you know, I think most people have, to be honest. But like, I'm very aware of the ones in my system, just not quite aware as I'd like at the times that I need to be aware of it. So I'd kind of found myself having a couple of bits of this sweet potato, like, when I hadn't really intended to.
It's the unconsciousness, you
Yeah.
know, when you're not, and that's the interesting thing, because there's a lot of stuff that people are having which is like they're numbing out, but it's almost like denial with sort of like, it's not really happening, you know.
It's like when, you know, like, for a lot of people, like, they'll sit down in front of the TV watching something, and they'll think they'll have a couple of biscuits, and before they know it, they're halfway through the pack, or they've finished the pack, and it's like, you know, God, I didn't realise I'd got through all them. You
that's
know,
that
so
lack
we
of
can be
body
so
connection,
unconscious in what we're doing.
because our body can be saying, you know, I feel a bit sick now, you know, but we're not really picking up on that.
Yeah. Yeah, so it is, it's very easy to find yourself doing things without being like really fully engaged with what you're doing and with the choices you're making, because often the energies inside us, they really are like junkies, and they'll try and get whatever they can, you know. So if you stop feeding them cream cakes, you might find yourself going really strongly into eating like fruit or pineapples or something that's very, very intensely
They
sweet.
try to find an alternative,
Yeah.
that's
All the
giving them
time.
something similar, you know. So if you get rid of wheat, it's going to be something else, another alternative to wheat, you know. It's
Yeah.
always about replacing it with something else.
I
But
think they just want to know that they're going to get something that they can feed off. And, you know, like, it is a bit crazy, because at times when I have gone fully raw, like, I can find that I'm eating like loads of avocados or loads of coconut, you know, but there's always something they can be getting from it. Like the avocados, I think it's to do with the way the fats are, you know, sometimes that they're going for. And the coconuts can actually be very sweet, as well as the fat content and stuff. So it's not saying that these things are wrong, it's just saying that we've got to be careful about the quantities and what else we're feeding.
I think that's a lot of it, is the quantity, and when you are feeling addicted to something, your quantity levels, they
can get a bit silly, can't they?
yeah, and you start to just have too much for your system, you know. That's why it's really cool what we've been doing recently, because we're managing to just try a bit of something and then see how it makes us feel, you know. Because ultimately you just want to reach a plateau where you feel great and you know generally what foods are best for you and how much, and when you need it and when you don't, you know. That's really cool.
That's something else I'd found today again, because of feeling so cold, and I'd really felt like I needed some fats and some protein, and I decided to try some smoked salmon, which, like, I tend to try and avoid flesh foods because I don't like it, you know. I'd much rather make friends with a salmon than eat it, you know. But I was feeling like I needed something, but really, like, as soon as I took a little bit of it, it felt really wrong to me again, and you know, I just don't want to be eating people, you know. I love all creatures. I try and go through my life causing the least amount of harm I possibly can, and I literally won't harm a fly. So it just doesn't
There was
sit
also
right with
this
me.
this discussion
Go on, you're all right.
this
taking
discussion
names.
about things being gentle and
Yeah.
and the natural foods that Mother Earth has given us, they tend to, in general, you know, obviously I know some are poisonous and stuff, they tend to feel gentle, don't they? And like when the stuff with the meat and that, there's an edge to it, you know, and these other energies are there as well that seem to be aggressive, you know, and
I just feel
aggressiveness
like
I know isn't our
yeah.
nature, you know.
It just seems to put us back into like a dog eat dog, like predator kind of vibration, those things, you know. We found that like the meat and the fish, because obviously the animal is in a survival situation when it's taken, when it's killed, you know, so all those stress hormones go into the flesh, all the fear goes into the flesh. If it's a farmed animal, I think you also get a strong sense of the sadness, the powerlessness. I do think that the controlling energies want people eating farmed food because it's that vibration of captivity, you know. These animals have been captive their whole lives, and that vibration then stays in with us, you know, so we accept our cages more, we accept the limitations that are imposed on us by the system, for want of a better word. So I do think it makes a very big difference, the emotional vibration, the energetic vibration of the food that we take into our body systems.
You're right, it's emotional vibration, you know, that's the point, isn't it? It's a spirit, everything has a spirit, the emotion, you know, and the body level, physical level, and all mental level.
It's also, if you think about it, like every bit of meat and fish that you eat, the last thing that animal could experience was defeat as well, you know. It's like it's like fighting, failing, you know.
So what we seem to be feeling is that we're feeling the energy of that, and you know, we're empathic enough to sense it, but it doesn't mean that it isn't there for people who aren't, you know,
they'll still
who
be
don't seem to feel it,
affected by it, even if they're not aware.
Because the thing is, people are so numbed out, we're so detached from our body, from our core, from our centre, that we do not connect with what we feel. But the problem is, if you don't connect with what you feel, you don't feel the high joys and the high excitements as well, because you don't feel...
You lose the edges for all of it. It's like as if you start operating just within a small sphere and you don't have the heightened feelings, you don't have the whole scope, really.
But yeah, so we had the sweet potato, which we had just a little bit of to try it out, and there's the pulls and the, you know, whatever for that. So this might only be for us that we have this. Each person, I think, will probably have their own things, but I think collectively as a species, and maybe different countries on the earth, will have their own kind of pulls for foods that that weaken the system.
I think we've felt at different times that there can be different parasitic entities in different countries feeding off different things as well. Although we have found that in general, like there's certain foods where it seems very widespread, like sugar particularly, you know, the sweet things. We felt opens up the psychic vibrations more, like the psychic attack. It's like, it feels like the sugars is like a conduit in the system in some sort of way. But it's also in other countries we've found, like, you know, wheat and those sort of things, you know, there's always carbs, like heavy
lots of
carbs that are sedating people, and dairy products. I mean, I did a video the other day about the effect of some dairy that I'd had when my system was very clean, and I really couldn't get over how sedating it is, you know. I mean, obviously it feels really nice, but if you're on a spiritual path, if you're wanting to be clear, if you're actually wanting to take control of your vessel back from other beings, then being like doped out on some nice cheese isn't the best way to do it. So there is a lot to be aware of. I know a lot of what we speak about will sound quite crazy to people if they're still living a very normal life. But if you do start making steps in these directions, if you do start clearing the active addictions from your system, you do then start to become aware of how all these different foods are affecting you. And it's quite unbelievable, you know, when I look back to the sorts of things that I used to eat. You know, I used to love mashed potato, butter, cheese. Even when I was vegan for 15 years, I was still eating stuff that I wouldn't dream of touching now. You know, like a lot of the vegan substitutes for things now have got so many chemicals and weird crap in, to be honest.
That's that thing again about the substitutes, you know,
Yeah.
something else will always be there to say that this is a great thing, but we're not really trusting our body. We're listening to all this mental rubbish about, you know, this is great because it's got this, this and this in, but when you look at the ingredients, it's got a massive list of ingredients on it. You know, it's not pure, it's not...
A lot of the stuff in the free-from sections at supermarkets, you know...
A lot of it's worse.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The amount of sugar that's put in it, you know. I mean, we talk food like this because food is an issue, you know.
Well, food stuff is everywhere, you know, like you can't go anywhere without being absolutely battered by food stores, really, you know, and adverts for that and suggestions.
Pretty much most of the planet's obsessed with food, you know, so us talking about it like this is no different. It's just we actually talking about it. Most of us are just like addicted to it and obsessed about it in a different way, you know.
Sorry, excuse me, I'm quite tired. It's quite late here, so I'm probably going to try and get some kip shortly. We're heading away again in a couple of days. So I'm hoping that when we get out and we get some sun and that eating like more close to 100% raw will be a lot easier again, because I felt really cold the last few days.
But it's very interesting with this rice because, of course, if you want to go raw, the issue is that there's a few foods that you can't really eat raw. You know, like you can't... Can you eat rice raw?
I think you can... I don't know. With some of the grains and that, you can soak them and sprout them, but I don't think that would be the case.
So like sweet potato and potato you're supposed to cook and all that, you know. I've tried that and that's, you know, and it's not working, but it's very, very interesting today that, you know, the cooked rice has felt, I still feel clear, you know, I don't feel stupid or dumbed down like with cheese or with cooking other things, even cooking vegetables sometimes does that, you know. So, but I mean...
It's surprising how sweet a lot of vegetables can be when you cook them as well.
Yeah.
You know, it makes a difference.
Because it definitely wasn't just sweetness for me, it was the cooking. It was the cooking as well, you know. But yeah, rice, that's been interesting. But I hope we learn through this, you know, and then we can express things that are in a better way, because we're, you know, it's been a few years of healing for us, like 9 or 10 years, you know, but only
it's
like about 5 or 6 years of food changing and, you know, stopping smoking cigarettes and all that stuff.
Everybody's on the journey, like wherever, you know. I don't think it ever does to really like measure yourself against other people for where you're at. You know, some people kind of developed a lot in one direction in their lives but be a complete novice in others, and I don't think any life experience is ever wasted. You know, whatever stage, whatever experience somebody is living is all a valid part of the whole.
Yeah, that's why like we're all here to come together, because each one of us has a part of the puzzle. You know, and we have to get over this whole thing of like, you know, this person's better qualified than so whatever, because we're not realising the qualities that we've all got, and we've all got so much to bring here.
It's the same thing like when people undermine other people, we're all losing out, because if somebody is given the message that they're worthless, that they don't have anything to bring, we do lose out on the soul knowing and information that soul was going to be bringing to the whole. And it's quite important, you know, like it. Everybody has got stuff to bring. They really have. It's important.
Yeah, we've all got something. You know, none of us are here just weak and like there's nothing we can do.
I think I'm going to have to get off in a minute because my eyes are starting to go a bit weird. I'm going to be going strangely cross-eyed or whatever because I'm getting sleepy.
Yeah, okay. So we'll do some more videos during the week as and when we can.
We'll be able to say about the difference that we feel in eating raw in a warmer climate and everything as well.
Yeah, that's it. So there's a lot to learn for all of us, you know. I've only got like 2 views on another video at the moment. I'm not trying to get loads of views. I'm just interested to see what happens more than anything.
It's just there for if it helps people, isn't it? You know, if somebody stumbles across things, then maybe there's something for you.
Well, I think one of the big things for us doing these videos is that we've wanted to meet some other people who actually resonate with what we're saying and like, you know, like I want to do this as well, and let's all come together and create a community, and let's buy some land and, you know, do something really special that helps the planet. So
there's a lot of healing needed at this time, and we all have our roles within that, really. For whatever reason, we all chose to incarnate at this time on the earth. So, you know, we are all in this together. There's big changes going on.
There's big changes. I think we need to blow the lid on all the illusions so that we can see clear. And then
that's the best thing about the idea of raw, really, the idea of clarity.
Clarity, and these changes can come, and then, because I believe in that, you know, that's the thing. If you don't believe anything can change, then you I don't know, can't help. But all right then.
Yeah. Well, thank you for taking the time to listen to us, and loads of love on your path wherever you are on it.
Cool.
Bye.